All right, hello everyone. I'm Christopher Locke, the IBPA member liaison, and this is the Get to Know Your IBPA member benefits. And I'm excited today because we're going to be talking about QuickBooks Online. It's a really great benefit. In fact, I'm going to put in the chat right now a link to learn more about that benefit. Now, remember, this whole thing's going to be about it, so you don't need to go check it right now. But if afterward, I'll email everyone the chat, and then you get an opportunity to look at it and maybe read a little bit more. So we have two amazing presenters today. We very much appreciate y'all coming out to see them. And I'm going to do a quick intro for both of them. Matt J. Cox is the partner account manager at Intuit. And he's been with Intuit, the maker of TurboTax and QuickBooks, for 8 years, starting in inside sales. He focused on solving point of sale and back office customer pain points. In 2017, he transitioned to key account manager. Over the past 3 years, Matt has engaged and assisted franchise key accounts with implementation of execution of the QuickBooks franchise program. He lives in Tacoma, Washington with his wife and 9-year-old son. So thank you, Matt, for being here. And I'll do a quick intro for Tim, and then we will get going. Tim McConaughey is an international self-publishing expert featured in Forbes, MarketWatch, The Star, and other international publications. He's the founder and owner of Izzard Inc. Publishing, where self-publishing is no longer by yourself. The Izzard Inc. team has helped authors and publishers sell hundreds of thousands of books around the world, including partnering with local publishers on 4 continents. By the way, he's also a member of IBPA, and he's going to be here to really help show you, because he uses the program, how it works for him and his business. Without further ado, Matt and Tim, thank you so much, and you all can take it away.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Really appreciate that. And thanks, Tim, for coming on board for assistance. While I have dealt with QuickBooks for a long time, there could be questions that come up that Tim's going to have a little bit more insight on than I will have. But again, just want to thank everybody for peeling off some time today to spend with us. We're going to go through this demonstration, and we know that based on information you've provided, there's some of you that are at different levels. Maybe some of you have been using QuickBooks Online for years, for months. Some may be using QuickBooks Desktop and are thinking about going to QuickBooks Online, and then others may have not used anything up to this point other than Excel spreadsheet. So knowing that, we kind of tailored this demo to do some navigational type training, and then dive into some questions about banking and expense tracking, some basic inventory information, and project tracking. At the end of this, there will be obviously questions in the chat. If we're not able to get to all of them, Chris has so kindly said that he'll document all the chat questions, and we'll get those answered to the best of our ability and back out to everyone as quickly as possible. So again, what we're going to be looking at today is some basics, right? And this may be a little boring for some, but we'll get through it despite how hard we try. So we're going to be getting logged in, some general navigation. We'll go through these bullet points. And again, as you go through, take down some questions, write them down, and then if they don't get answered within the time frame of the demo, we'll try to get to them in the chat. So with that, I'm going to share a different screen. A lot of times when we think about QuickBooks, we go, well, how do I even get logged into QuickBooks, right? Maybe in the past I've loaded it on my computer. It's a desktop solution, but with online, it's really pretty easy. As long as you have internet connection, you're going to be able to get into QuickBooks. The question then becomes, where do I go? Where do I go to get logged in? Well, one easy place to go is just to go to intuit.com. And I'm going to back up and just type that in. And this is our main website, and you'll see a sign-in button in the top right-hand area. You would simply click on Sign In and choose QuickBooks Online. And this is going to take you to a sign-in page. Once you're on that sign-in page, you would use your user ID and password to get logged in, but I'm already logged in. Unfortunately, when you have QuickBooks, sometimes if you're already logged in, it's going to take you in. So a best practice that I always let my clients know is when you sign out of QuickBooks, go ahead and bookmark the sign-in page. That way you don't always have to go back to the Intuit website. You can simply go to your bookmarked page, type in your user ID, and password and get logged in. Now, one thing about my QuickBooks is I have multiple companies that I work in. For many of you, you'll just have one and it'll log you right in. But for those who have different company needs, if you have different tax ID numbers that you're needing to manage, you can manage multiple subscriptions within one login. So now this may look familiar to some of you, but what we call this is your dashboard. When you log into QuickBooks Online, you are dropped right into what's called your dashboard, where you can navigate to where you want to go. The first thing I would like to go over with is the top right area. In the top right area, you're going to find some things that can help you out to find transactions and to go to your settings. So if we were wanting to now manage a user, that means if I need to have somebody else in my account, I can simply go to the settings button in the top right. I can go to my manage users. And this is where you'll see that depending on what level of QuickBooks Online you have, I'm working in QuickBooks Online Plus right now. So that means I have myself plus 4 additional users that I could potentially add in. I would simply click the Add User button, provide what type of user I want them to be. Standard gives you a little bit of an opportunity to customize the user. Company admin would give that user full access rights. Now, some of you may be in a position where you want to provide reports only to someone. You could invite that person in as a reports only. They would not count against your user limit. So that 5 total, this person would not count against it. So if they just only needed to see reports, or if you only needed to do time tracking, they would not count against your limit. The other cool thing you can do from this area is if you do have a bookkeeper or a CPA that you do want to work with, you'll notice in the upper left-hand quadrant here under Manage Users, you also have accounting firms. This is where you can invite them in, and they will have access to your QuickBooks simply by putting in their name, last name, and their email. Now, what happens if you don't have an accountant, but you want to look for one? If you look up at the top right-hand corner, you'll see My Experts. And this is an area where you could go in and you could look for accounting pros. So again, we give you avenues of being able to go in, look for experts, find them, and you can do it locally by putting in addresses and zip codes. But keep in mind that QuickBooks Online, being online, you don't have to have an accountant who resides right next door to you. They could reside in a different state, and I have a number of clients who do that, who are all over the U.S., but they use firms in different states. So that is how you manage users. And when you create your account in QuickBooks Online, you are the master admin. So that means you have the ability to invite in and delete out. So if you invited somebody into the account and you wanted to get them out of the account, you can do that. If you want to invite somebody else in, you can do that. And once you have somebody invited into the account, a lot of people want to know, well, how do I know what they're doing when they're in the account? Well, one report that is really beneficial for people who have multiple users in the account is the reports based on what's called an audit log. And the audit log report is going to tell you what user did what, when they logged in, what did they do in the program, when did it happen. So if you ever have to look back at some area, and you can even do this for yourself, right? So you can look back in an audit log and find out when you did something, how you did it. It just gives you more line of sight on fixing a potential error that may have happened in the past. So again, we're going to go back up to the top, and we're going to go to the Settings button again. And this time we're going to go under Your Company to Account and Settings. Now, Account and Settings, think of as your preference area. So when you come into your Account and Settings, you'll notice tabs that run down the left-hand side that you can click on. The first tab being company, where you can drop in your logo, you can put in your tax ID number. If your customer-facing name was different than your legal business name, you can put that in, so your documents that you send out will have your customer-facing name in rather than the legal business name. It's up to you. One thing to keep in mind, whenever you're working in this area, it's always important, if you do work, to hit the Save button. If you navigate away from this page without hitting Save, you're not going to save your information. So just a best practice, always hit the Save button. Your sales and expense area allows you to turn things on and off. I know there was questions about inventory. Inventory is a function that is only found in QuickBooks Plus or Advanced. So this is where you can turn on things related to inventory, like purchase orders, inventory tracking, those types of things. Again, we've got advanced settings, and these are just things that you can go through on your time. And if something isn't working and it's off, this is where you go to find out to turn it back on or to turn it on. A lot of people will log in the first time and wonder why they don't have purchase orders, but they got QuickBooks Online Plus. Well, they have it turned off. So you simply click the button and turn it back on. So again, accountant settings, think of as your preference area. Billing and subscription is going to tell you about any subscriptions that you have with QuickBooks, whether it's your online account, your payroll account, if you have T-sheets, anything that you're signed up for within QuickBooks will show up in here. It'll also show your company ID number. Now, the company ID number is important because this is your unique ID for QuickBooks, and it's the fastest way for you to get help and for somebody to find your account. So when you are looking for help, if you don't know your company ID number, you find it in billing and subscription, and you can save that so you always know where your company ID number is. I'm just going to go ahead down to the bottom right and click on Done. And one thing about navigating in QuickBooks Online, try to stay away from, on the internet, we all like to hit the back button. Try to stay away from hitting the back button. You can do it, but sometimes it confuses it and you end up having to log out and log back in. So just navigate. Typically, you can see everything that you scroll over is clickable. So that's how you can navigate back to your dashboard or navigate to another area within the program. Since we're talking about navigation and help, a lot of users want to know, hey, how do I get help? How can I pick up a phone and call somebody for help? Well, before you do that, it's always best practice to use the actual help button, which is found in the top right area. And you can type in a certain topic that you may want to know. And let's just type in receipt capture. And it's going to come up with options for you to look at. Now, you'll also see that you have the ability to contact someone at QuickBooks, but before you do that, again, you can click on Capture Receipts, and it'll take you right through on how to do that within the program. So it's typically much faster than trying to call in and ask somebody, and especially it's great for self-learning. It also gives you other ideas on how to add the receipts and capture the receipts. There's even a way out in the field that you can capture receipts with your iPhone or Android device, and that will automatically attach to an expense using the Receipt Snap feature. And it'll tell you how to download it, where to go. All that information is found right within the Help button. It's a super great tool that I find, when utilized, really assists the users on A, learning how to use the product, and B, mitigating any frustration potentially trying to call in and get somebody on the phone. It is there to be used, but sometimes it can cause more frustration than good. So again, the Help button, top right, very important. The little magnifying glass on the right, that's going to be how you search for transactions. So you can simply click on that. If you need to type in a search for customer, vendors, transactions, reports, addresses, as you do that, it'll sort out, and then you can choose from what recent transaction you want to go after. Just a quick way to search the program for any of your information that you're trying to find. Again, that's the magnifying glass in the top right. Now, some of this may look a little bit different. We continue to make enhancements. This one hasn't been updated, but you'll notice probably if you're using QuickBooks Online now, there is a sign out button just to the right of the settings button in the top right. It's a circle probably with your initial in it. That's what you click to sign out. With mine, I still have to click the settings button and drop down the right-hand side to sign out. Speaking of attachments and receipt capture, just to give you a little picture of what that would look like, if I go under my list and I click on attachments, you can see here where I've just done some testing, obviously taking pictures and attaching those. But you can do this and then they'll show up right within the areas where you attached them, whether it was on it, you could attach it to an invoice. You can use receipt capture and signature capture with our mobile devices. So there's opportunities for you to capture information, attach it either to an invoice, to an estimate, to an expense. So you don't have to keep, the big thing is keeping all those paper receipts. A lot of people will find that at the end of the year they've got a shoebox full of paper receipts and they try to sort through them and they don't know what they were for, or they can't remember, or maybe they lost some. So this is a way for you to be able to capture that receipt or that information, attach it to where you document what document you would like, and not lose it. So I'm going to navigate back to the dashboard by clicking Dashboard on the left. Another button that I like to use is the New button up in the top left-hand side. Just think of the plus New button as I want to do something right now and do it quickly. Simply click it. If I want to create an invoice, receive a payment, estimate, if I want to create an expense, a bill, purchase order, I can simply click the New button and go and do. Rather than there's multiple ways to get to the same spot. If I wanted to do an invoice, I could go to Sales, Invoices, New Invoice, and that took me 3 clicks, whereas the plus button took me 2. And again, that allows you to do a number of different things quickly. All right, so now we're going to move into banking and expenses. So some of you may have connected bank accounts or credit card accounts to your QuickBooks. You do that through the banking tab. And what's really nice about it is there is actually a see how it works. So if you're scared about doing it, you can go through the video to see how it works right within program. Basically what's going to happen is once you connect your bank account or your credit card, and you can connect both and you can connect multiple, those are going to come in every day as what's called a bank feed. And that bank feed is going to allow you to classify and categorize anything that's coming through those from a transaction perspective. So if you have paid bills, if you have purchased anything on your company credit card, those transactions will come in and they'll sit in QuickBooks as the bank feed. Now I'm going to switch companies really quick because I have a company file that I can show you that we've set up an example of the bank feed. And when I log into this, you can see that it shows my bank accounts in the top right. This area right here which says bank accounts. And when I click on that, it'll come up with how I've classified these and added them to QuickBooks. So you can see this was classified as an expense. I have another expense as a utility. So this is where I can do that and add it to QuickBooks. Remember, when it's in your bank feed, it's like you're on a plane but you haven't landed yet. So once those transactions come in, you need to monitor that bank feed and then add those to QuickBooks. One interesting thing about QuickBooks is there is some advanced learning that will go on. And as you classify certain expenses or sales income, the system will learn with you and it'll start to auto-categorize those. So I always use I'm a contractor and I go to Home Depot. If I'm always there using my credit card, those are going to start to get classified as supplies expense, and then you can simply add them to QuickBooks. If there's other expenses that are new and unknown, it'll wait for you to classify them. But if you classify them the same way every time, then it'll learn with you again and start to auto-classify those. Again, you can connect your bank accounts, you can connect your credit card accounts. That just makes all that manual entry go away as far as I have to plug in this information. I have to take time to do that. Now it's all happening seamlessly. And it happens once a day and it happens at night. So if you want to reconcile or go in and categorize each morning, you can. If you want to wait till the end of the week, you can. That's up to you. I'm sure there's some that wait till the end of the month and maybe the end of the year. Again, it gives you the opportunity to do it daily or whenever you feel the right time is to do it.
And Matt, on the banking question, we had one that, what do you suggest when the bank doesn't share a feed with QuickBooks?
To put that in a request. And so they're saying their bank, when they go to connect a bank account, it doesn't show up for them to have that option. Is that correct?
I'm not 100%. They can follow up with that question, but that sounds about right.
Yeah. So at this point in time, if the bank feed doesn't share, then they have to submit. They can submit to us, right? The client can within QuickBooks say, hey, we would really like this bank to work as a feed into QuickBooks. And if there's enough people that are requesting that bank, then I think that helps it to get done. But at this time, if it doesn't connect, it's really up to the bank because we have open APIs for sharing. It's up to the bank if they want to do that. I wish there were a better answer, but there's not.
Okay, thank you.
So if we move down to expenses, we can see that when we pop open expenses, it'll show you a list of things that you have going on. If you've got purchase orders, bills, if there's any checks, anything that are dealing with expenses will be found here. Now, if you do need to create purchase orders, you can do that right through the new transaction button in the top right. You can, and again, purchase order and inventory capability is only a Plus, QuickBooks Online Plus or higher feature. It would not be available in Essentials or Simple Start, but you would simply click on purchase orders, and then you could start to build out that item. Now, I know a lot of people were asking, or maybe not a lot of people, maybe one person were asking about inventory. So this is where you could do a couple things. One, you could add and create new items right within the product and service area by simply clicking the Add New button. Or to actually create a list, you would go into your sales area, and under sales, you'll have products and services. So this is the area where you can start to identify what you are selling, how much you're selling it for, and if it's inventory capable, you can put quantity on hand, and you can set up reorder points. How you do that is within the New button in the top right. You'll get to choose what type of item that you are putting into the system. Whether it's inventory or if it's non-inventory, is just an item you don't care about, tracking the inventory, but you still want it in there as an item. Service items, pretty self-explanatory, and then bundling any services and products together. So if you ever want to bundle services, you can do that. I would simply click the Inventory tab, and then I would build out my inventory item. Again, you can put in an initial quantity on hand. You can put in the reorder point. You can design what class or what asset account it goes to. You can put in your sales price, and taxable, non-taxable category. You can even put a picture in. So if you're sending out information, it'll have a picture attached with that inventory item. Once that item is in, after you continue down the path, you'll see that I have some items already in. It'll be in your system. You can edit it by simply either hitting the edit button on the far right-hand side, or as always, you should be able just to double click on the item anywhere within the line item and it'll pop up for you to edit. So now if we were going back to expenses, and if we still wanted to create that purchase order, we could select the vendor that we choose, and then it'll populate with some items that he or that vendor provides us, and then maybe we have some other items we want to add. And basically what a purchase order is doing is allowing you to say, hey, Mr. Vendor, this is what I'm ordering from you. You have a copy, I have a copy. When I receive it, it gives me an opportunity to look and say, did you send me what I asked for? Rather than just saying, hey, I need 10 of these or 20 of these, and they send you 50 and you can't remember the phone call you had with them. So the purchase order is designed to help you manage what you're ordering, how much you're ordering, when it's coming in, and gives you documentation on that.
One question, Matt, from someone, this is from Martha. Only non-inventory is available under new products and service. How do I get inventory item option to appear?
Is Martha using QuickBooks Online Plus?
Let's see when she answers. Because is your answer going to be that it only is in the QuickBooks Plus?
Correct. Inventory capability, getting an actual inventory item to be able to track is a QuickBooks Online Plus or higher. So it's QuickBooks Online Plus or QuickBooks Online Advanced feature.
And that's available to IBPA members through this benefit too?
It is, yeah. All levels of QuickBooks Online are available to IBPA members at 40% off for 1 year for one subscription. That's QuickBooks Online Simple Start, Essentials, Plus, and Advanced. And then if you do have needs of multiple company files, if you're managing multiple tax ID numbers, when you get 2 or more, it's 50% off for 1 year. So 2 or more subscriptions, 50% off for 1 year. One subscription for new accounts is 40% off for 1 year. But again, with respect to the inventory question, that's a plus or higher feature only.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep. And again, if you have QuickBooks Online, you're able to download the QuickBooks accounting app to your mobile device. It's the same user ID and login to get into that. Basically, it gives you an easier look and feel to manage QuickBooks on your mobile device, but it provides you that functionality where you can take pictures, do the receipt snaps. So again, think about it. When you're out and about and you're buying something for the business, or you're buying something that's business related and you want to capture that immediately, you can do that using the app. The other thing you can do with the app is you can do mileage tracking. And mileage tracking allows you to, if you're out driving with regards to the business, it'll track your miles automatically, and you can simply swipe left or right for business or personal. We find that on average, small business owners are missing out on tax deductions to the tune of $3,500 a year. This mileage app will do that for you. It does all the calculations. So I think right now the price for mileage is 57.5 cents per mile. That's always updated in your QuickBooks. If you're using the app, it's going to track your mileage. And like I said, you can simply swipe left or swipe right, depending on business or personal. You don't have to keep a big logbook, or if you weren't tracking it in the past, now you have an easy way to track it.
And Matt, one quick follow-up to Martha's question earlier.
Yeah.
Can you upgrade from QuickBooks Online to QuickBooks Online Plus at the discount and keep all the data?
You can upgrade. There is no discount for the upgrade, but the data does not change. So when you can upgrade from any level. So if you're on Simple Start, you can go to Essentials, Essentials to Plus, Plus to Advanced. The data all stays the same. It just unlocks the new features.
Thank you.
Yep. Let's see. Another thing that is going to be probably pretty important, and it should be important, is being able to manage what I'm going to call your projects. So you have a number of different projects going at any one time, and how do you know if you're doing well on that project? How well do you know how much it's costing you? Just really the details. And when I say projects, I'm talking about jobs that you're doing, things that you're doing for a customer, and that you want to be able to track income and costs associated with that project. So as you see, you can do that within QuickBooks Online Plus and Advanced. It's a feature in those two levels of QuickBooks. It allows you to, under your customer, create a project for that specific customer, and then you can assign invoices, estimates, purchase orders, expenses to that specific project. And when you click on it, over time, it'll start to tell you what your costs are, what your income is, are you profitable? And you can do, under each customer, you can have multiple projects. So if you're doing business with the same customer over and over again, but you want to separate out different things that you're doing for them, you can name them different projects and then assign income and expenses to those specific projects. This is going to give you the ability to have more financial insight into what is working well for you, and at the same time where maybe costs are going up and you could do better. Again, projects are going to help you to identify, maybe you've done in the past a project that was similar that you're working on, and you want to be able to revisit that project to see what you did well on it and what you didn't do well on it. This gives you that ability. Some people like to track it differently, but we give our customers the ability to track within QuickBooks Online Plus and Advanced their projects based on customer. This is something that when you log in initially into QuickBooks Online Plus, you have to turn on this feature. So if anybody is in QuickBooks Online Plus right now and they're not seeing the ability to do projects, you would go to your settings area, and I believe if I go under Accountant Settings, it's probably going to be under Advanced. Yes, so you can see under Advanced Settings, Projects On. If you're not seeing that and you're on QuickBooks Online Plus, you would simply go in and turn that feature on. If you're on Essentials or Simple Start, you're not going to have that ability. Again, it's a Plus or Advanced feature only. Going to hit the Done button, come out of here. All right. Now, so that's project tracking. Another thing that I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to be sending, or have the ability to send out, a tutorial email that has tips and tricks on it. We are recording this demonstration, but there's going to be things within the email that I can send out too. If Chris can provide me information, or I can send it to Chris and he can send it out. But it'll dive a little bit more in depth into specific maybe questions you have. You can really, if you want to know more about reconciliation, if you want to know more about invoicing and really detailed type stuff, you can get into that with the tutorials I'll send out to you.
Yeah, I send out after, oh, I was just going to mention, you asked about how we send it out. For the webinars, I email everyone who registered. So if you want to send that to me, I will send it to everyone in that same email. So we have everything in the email. So I'm going to send the recording and a few other things that are helpful.
Perfect. Perfect. One last thing. I know we're kind of coming up to maybe where we want to kind of end the demo and turn it over to some more questions if we have them. But Tim has been gracious enough to work with our internal team to work on what we're calling a standardized chart of accounts. And when you think of a chart of accounts, I'm going to show you one just within this program. QuickBooks Online, any of our QuickBooks accounting comes with a standard default chart of accounts. But that may not have specific areas or accounts that you want to be able to track your information in. So right now we're in the development phase of trying to work out a standard chart of accounts that could be imported into a new QuickBooks Online account. And what that means is it would kick out the default chart of accounts that's already in here, and it would plop in the new chart of accounts. It also, it doesn't mean that you can't change things, right? So say you imported the new chart of accounts and you wanted to add another account. You can still add to that standard chart of accounts. It's up to you. But this would give a more unified look, a uniform look at your industry specific. Again, we're working on that, and Tim has been kind enough to help us out internally to get it done as quick as we can and have that out as another member benefit for you. Again, it would be up to the user if they wanted to use that chart of accounts. It's not something that you have to do. But it would be a benefit from standardizing and really consolidating what you're using when you're bucketing your money and expenses within QuickBooks. Just some other items, if you ever need to add any other services, we have our payroll services that you can manage payroll within QuickBooks. We also have the ability for you to collect money via our merchant services. One thing I'll let you know is if you're thinking about using our merchant service credit card processing, it's always, you need to come through this group, my group, in order to get the preferred rates and fees that we have for IBPA members. Because the system will allow you to sign up for these things right within the program, but you're just going to get the standard rate and fees. So again, when you're thinking, if you're thinking about adding anything to your QuickBooks Online, whether it's payroll or payments features, always check with us first so you can make sure you get the right price on those. And I think at this point in time, I probably missed a couple things, but we can kind of go, if we have more questions, Chris, we can kind of dive into some questions. Looks like we might have 10, 15 minutes to do that.
Yeah, I'm happy to ask them. So yeah, the chart of accounts was something that a lot of people brought up. So I just want to clarify and make sure that the questions that people specifically asked about that were answered. So here, let me just read off. There's two questions. One is, can someone offer sample charts of accounts for hybrid publishers? One sample I saw used vendor accounts for all authors to make royalty payments easy. We charge fees to our authors and also pay royalties, so setting this up is confusing. And then on that same note, someone else said, accounting for sale of every book in each format in order to accurately calculate royalties is very challenging in QuickBooks. So I wanted to see what you had, your thoughts on that.
This is Tim.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
I know the answer to these questions. First of all, with the hybrid publishing, that's what we do, and that's where we really focused our chart of accounts, is the hybrid publishing and charging fees and tracking everything. So we're accounting for traditional and hybrid in that chart of accounts that we're using. So it should be fine. What was that last question again?
Yeah, the last one is accounting for the sale of every book in each format in order to accurately calculate royalties is very challenging.
That is correct. That is very challenging. One thing that our whole overall vision and why I approached QuickBooks over a year ago to make this a member benefit was for that very reason. So this is just step one, is getting QuickBooks on board. The next step is making it hopefully so we can have folks integrate with QuickBooks Online, like a royalty tracking system. And there is the capability, and there are some things that we're working on to make that happen. Ultimately, what we'd like to see is a plugin used or an app that's used, and the royalties just go directly into QuickBooks. We see how they're done by project, and then it can create the payment. So the ability to do that is there. We're just trying to work it out and see who we can get on board.
Yeah, and Tim has brought that to our attention, and we're going to be working together over the next few months to work on development of that, because we have a number of different applications that integrate, and like I said, QuickBooks Online comes with an open API, which means people can build integrations and make that stream of information come in much easier and have it automatically go where you want it to go rather than you try to figure out where you want it to go. So those are a couple things, the chart of accounts that we are working on, and then also the development of more integrations that would make this industry's life easier.
Yeah, that's a good point there too, is that we're trying to get this a little more customized for publishers. So we're open for feedback. We have the ability to do that. If we get enough publishers on board, we can all start getting industry-specific data, which would help us as publishers understand which projects are making money, how they compare to the industry, where we can kind of help at a glance. Probably should have mentioned this at the very first part, but the reason why I like QuickBooks Online and why we like it even over the desktop version is because it's always there. At a glance, I can get in every single day, see how things are working and going, and I know exactly where our finances are. And that's helped me make really wonderful business decisions and help us grow. We have 0 receipts that are in boxes. Everything's digital. Everything's backed up to the cloud. If we're ever to be audited for any reason, everything is there. I'm able to have a CPA have access and then a bookkeeper have access, and neither of those people have the ability to write a check for me. So we've kind of eliminated fraud too, with the fraud possibility of fraud in that realm by having the 5 users. So these are all things that we really want to help with. We're open to your feedback. We want to make this easy. We want to make it work for publishers and really get the data. So thank you for helping us do that.
Yeah, Tim, one question that people were asking is, you already have a chart of accounts, so is that something you'd be able to share? And if not, it's totally fine, but just wanted to ask.
Yeah, that's what we're working on. I've sent my chart of accounts. I kind of removed some things that wouldn't really work well, but there should be about 100 to 150 accounts already there. We'll track revenue by what comes in, what goes out, and it should give people a good base to go, okay, yeah, I can do that, because the chart of accounts is monumental. I remember sitting down with an old CFO or a CFO, and then my bookkeeper, and we spent hours and hours and hours and hours doing it. So I'm happy to provide what we have, and we're just going through those final stages and phases. Ultimately, we'd like people to be able to get the member benefit discount and then upload a standard chart of accounts. If all of us start using something similar to that standard chart of accounts, that makes industry data easier. We're able to track trends quicker, sooner, and then we're able to get IBPA to advocate for things almost in real time. So we're not, waiting 3-4 weeks for data to actually hit. So that's our goal, and those should be available. I'm not sure the time frame, but hopefully in the next few weeks to months, we can have the sample chart of accounts done.
Yeah, and people are asking how will they find out when that's done. So IBPA normally sends out like an e-blast when we have big updates. So we'll probably send out an email to everyone, not just y'all, but everyone who's a member, saying this is a great new opportunity. This is part of the QuickBooks Online benefits. So check it out now. So I'm sure you'll hear from us normally it'll be an e-blast. So keep an eye out. Make sure that you don't have the e-blast turned off, because that's how we generally communicate with our members. We may also add it to the e-newsletter if you get that as well.
Yeah, and just to build on that, Chris, that'll probably be sooner rather than later. So the chart of accounts update should be coming within the next couple weeks.
Well, that's really awesome, and I know how much work that goes into that, and also Tim, for you being generous enough to share that. You're like the ultimate IBPA member. So thank you for that. So another question is, what is the difference between the standalone and online products?
When you talk about standalone, I'm assuming they're talking about QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. What are the differences? Well, the biggest difference is when you think of desktop or standalone software, that's software that you're going to load on your computer, and that's where the data file and the software resides. So in order to access that information, you need to be on that computer. You also need to be backing up that information to an external drive, because if that computer crashes and hiccups, you're going to lose that information. So the only way you can access that QuickBooks desktop file is when you access it on your computer. QuickBooks Online, you can go to any computer, any device, as long as you have internet connection. It's simply like logging into your online bank. The information is backed up on our servers, so if that computer or device fails, you're not losing your file. You simply log in from a different device or computer. It doesn't matter if you're on a Mac or a PC. It doesn't matter if you're at a hotel lobby computer. You're able to get into your QuickBooks Online, and I think Tim mentioned that from wherever you're at. You have it at the tip of your fingers. That's the biggest difference. The other differences come down to what you're able to do within the programs. QuickBooks Online is more flexible. It's built for users who are not necessarily accountants, whereas QuickBooks Desktop is very detailed. And it has a lot of features to it, but we find that a lot of people, a lot of small businesses or owners or users don't utilize all those features. Also, you have to pay for the users individually. So if you had multiple people that wanted to use the software, you would have to pay per individual, whereas QuickBooks Online, you do not have to pay per individual. You get a set amount with each subscription fee. And another thing, support, US-based support comes included with QuickBooks Online. That does not come included with QuickBooks Standalone Desktop. So if you wanted to add a support plan for that, you would have to pay an additional fee. And then it's not all US-based. It is onshore, offshore with desktop software. The question then arises as well, are we getting rid of desktop software? Is that going to go bye-bye? I don't envision that anytime soon. We still have many desktop standalone users. And in some use cases, that is the best option for them rather than QuickBooks Online. So I don't envision desktop going anywhere. I do envision it going to what's called a subscription model, and that means paying for it on an annual basis rather than buying it and then every 3 years upgrading. So keep in mind that that's probably the transition that will be happening. But those are the biggest differences, unless there's another specific question with respect to online versus standalone.
I think that kind of covers the main concept. So another question is, what if I missed the member benefit through IBPA, as in they already have QuickBooks Online? Is this benefit for only new accounts?
It is only for new accounts, that is correct. Now, if someone had just signed up a week or two ago and there wasn't a lot of data in it and they didn't mind canceling and starting a new account, then yes, that would be available. But it is not applicable to existing accounts. We can't just apply that discount, unfortunately.
And another question then is, what happens to the old data in QuickBooks if you import the pub-specific chart of accounts?
So are they on a current QuickBooks? I need to know a little bit more detail. If they're on QuickBooks Online right now, they will not be able to import the chart of accounts. They would have to manually add those in. The chart of accounts can only be imported into a brand new, fresh QuickBooks Online account.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I think she has a as a QuickBooks Online account, but I'm already and is actually considering upgrading to QuickBooks Online Plus.
Yeah. So
this is Tim.
If there's already, yeah, go ahead, Tim.
What we ended up doing is we were on desktop. This was about a year or two ago. And we wanted to go to QuickBooks Online. We changed all of our chart of accounts, and we kind of did that at the year mark. So December 31st, everything went out, and then January 1st, we kind of started with a new chart of accounts. That ended on a good period for us just to kind of shut down, and we put do not use in that chart of accounts or in that account, and kind of switched over that way. I would get with a bookkeeper or accountant to see the best way to do it. But I think that's something that's very doable if Matt also says it's okay.
Yeah, it just depends on where they're coming from, what they already have, right? So if they're coming from desktop, there's a certain set of checkpoints that you can do. If they're already on QuickBooks Online, then again, it's not the import tool that we have does not import into a QuickBooks Online account that already has transactions in it. So it'd be a manual type, hey, I'm going to add in these new accounts. I'm going to give them a beginning balance, and then I'm going to deactivate the old accounts that I don't want to have in there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think this is, Martha's asking the question, kind of follow up. So I think this falls in line. What happens to the old Online, not just Plus account? It sounds like maybe it is better to just start all over again with a brand new QuickBooks Online Plus account, right? That seems to be the better option.
I think if this is just Martha, I think with respect to Martha, she'd probably do well to maybe have a direct conversation with me about the best way. So I fully understand what she's trying to get accomplished and where she's at with her QuickBooks Online. So I can put up, I think I put my, if I didn't, I'll change it. But you can send out my information, Chris, and if somebody has questions, they can email me or we can set up a time to talk. And in those situations, I'd hate, to assume that I know everything about what she's trying to get done and then give her advice that isn't correct.
Okay, great. I'm making a note right now. I'll include that in that. So I'll include Matt's email, contact information in the email I'm going to send to everybody who is a registrant that recording. So you'll get his email and you'll be able to contact him. So I'm going to scroll through because I think a lot of those questions were kind of along those same lines. Julie Brand, you signed up during this presentation, but you didn't. Did you do it like through the member benefit? And if you didn't, like it sounds like Matt said that it was fine, that like you'll be able to get the benefit if you didn't do it through the benefit. So that's correct, Matt, right? Like they can probably reach back out to you and be like, hey, I just signed up, but I might have done it wrong, right?
Yeah, I would have to check and see what they did, and then we would just have to cancel whatever they did and do the new member benefit account. But yeah, I would, again, those would be one-on-one type conversations.
Okay, cool, Julie. So you'll see the email and you can contact them then. Yeah, we want to be helpful to everyone. So great. So I think those are all the general questions. Tim, Matt, you all have been incredibly helpful, and I really appreciate it because I know this is something that again needed more in-depth look. Did you all want to add anything else before I knock it off?
I don't think so. Again, I just really appreciate everybody taking the time. I know it's a crazy time right now for everybody. We appreciate that you being able to spend some time with us. And these are learning experiences for us. So great questions, everybody, and keep them coming because that's how products get better. When we understand what customers are looking for and people are looking for to get done. I don't promise everything, but a lot of times if enough people bark about things, you'd be amazed at what happens. So again, thanks so much. Tim, thanks for your help too. I appreciate it. And Chris, appreciate you putting this on for us.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you, Tim. So everyone have a fantastic day. Look for an email from me by the end of the week, and you will get some more information. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.